Hello, guys. Welcome. Welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Daily Teachings, guys. It's been a while. I did a recap. Last week was very choppy week. There's nothing really that stood out, so I didn't do much of the recaps last week. But this week started with a bang. So much going on this week. NVDA event, AMD event, Robotaxi, bank earnings, and today was just a blast in the community. A lot of plays and a lot of plays worked out. There were only like one or two losers, but there were bunch of winning trades in the community. So we will recap all. We will recap the big SMCI breakout, NVIDIA breakout, the Tesla short, AMD calls, and all the bunch of other news plays. There's a lot of analyst upgrades and downgrades, so I will talk about that as well today. Review and see how those went. So we have a lot to recap. I'll try to go fast today so that we can cover everything from the main plays and all the other concepts that we are trying to learn today. Importance of the levels, VIX SPY strategy, all the other things that we were doing in the community today. Anyways, before we start, just a quick recap for anybody who's new to my Twitter, new to my YouTube, or is new to the community, guys. All these trade recaps and all these teachings are from any trade ideas that I share on Twitter or share in my community or I share with you guys in the previous YouTube videos. For example, this morning, I shared SMCI, not only SMCI, NVIDIA, MSTR setups in the Twitter as well, which kind of worked out nicely. We trade repeatable setups. I have a repeatable trading system. I have repeatable concepts that thousands of traders across the world use to trade consistently. What our system does is when we lose small, but when we big, we let our winners run. So I'm going to recap, talk about that. And we have repeatable setups. We do not trade randomly. If you will see, if you're new to these recaps, you will see when I recap a lot of this stuff, how we trade differently than any other trading community or anybody else you would know, because we trade strictly based upon our systems, and what our system tells us, we do that. So we're going to recap all that. I'm usually on a voice first few hours of the market open, and I do live guidance on any plays, long, short, market guidance. Try to make sure nobody's taking a wrong trade, option flow guidance. And because we have a bunch of scanners in our community, we have breaking news alerts in the community. We have all the tools. We have tools which are worth 500, 600 a month, which are free in our community that you can use. We have a game plan every morning. This you can see the game plan that was for today. We have the news, we have upgrades, downgrades, then we have news for our daily plays, right? All color coded, which we call as marketplace, like NVIDIA, Apple, Tesla, Netflix. We have our support resistance pivots, which we can use to trade with the Ripster EMA clouds. And then we have initial buys, in the pre-market. Based upon that, we traded. In addition to that, I also have I also have our day 2 day 3 repeatable setup, which we will recap. This is a repeatable strategy. I did a free webinar on that as well. You can watch the previous YouTube recaps. You can learn a lot about these setups as well. In addition to that, we have the daily levels for our daily market players: Apple, Microsoft, AMD, NVIDIA, Netflix, BA, Amazon, Meta, Tesla. All those, right? Based upon those levels, which we can, I'll try to recap. We can short or long. For example, a lot of, if you just look at SMCI level or Google or any other stock, which based upon our level, which worked out pretty nicely. So this is all we have, and we are ready for the trading day. And then then we and a lot of hundreds of traders are on our trading floor all day. A lot of trade ideas. A lot of guidance on the trades, and we work together to trade consistently in the community. All right, that's the introduction, and now let's start the recap one by one. So we're going to start with NVIDIA today, right? So NVIDIA was one of our big winners today. Let's see what was going on with NVIDIA. So NVIDIA today had AI event, which started today, right? So CEO was speaking, and bunch of other things. So we had a catalyst, right? We had a AI event that was going on NVIDIA. So NVIDIA had this AI event. So it was already on our watch, right? And not only that, this morning, even in the community, I posted this setup, right? So what is this setup? It's a weekly setup. It's a downtrend line, the triangle breakout, Fibonacci level. So it's basically a breakout setup. There's a breakout pattern, right? It doesn't have to be textbook. It appeals to you. It makes sense. You can just draw a trend line. You don't need to draw the triangle. But the point is, there's a resistance that's trend line resistance that we're trying to break, right? And we have the catalyst. And not only that, as soon as the market opened, I saw a lot of flow. Before I talk about that, let's look at levels for NVIDIA. The levels for NVIDIA I gave were 125 and 125.16. So those two were our breakout levels. Not only that, I did tweet this setup first thing in the morning, 1 hour before the market open. AI event, watch for the breakout under 0.61. It's a void. So basically, we're looking for this breakout to long. We'll talk about the intraday as well on NVIDIA, where your risk would be. So intraday, we're looking at our 125 breakout. So once we take that breakout right at open, our stops will be right here around 124.30 level. So anywhere you're adding, your risk is dollar, right? That's your risk. You cut it, you don't hold it if it breaks that level. So anyways, as soon as market open, I was really focused on NVIDIA. I looked at my flow screens. I told in the community that there's a lot of flow coming in. 130C long, that was the call flow long as well that I gave the community right at the open. Our first move is always amateur move. We take the first profits. So you see the first long move, since I mentioned that, push from 125s all the way to 127. My first target was 128, right? So we logged some profits at 128 because it's an amateur move, and when market is pulling back at the same time, that's fine, let it pull back, but it never broke the trend, right? So you can re-add more here. Whatever you log here, you re-add there, and you hold. You hold because Ripster EMA Cloud is not breaking down, right? Look at the Ripster's levels. It's not breaking down, so it is bullish. If you miss the first amateur move, then you have to wait for this trend move. This is a repeatable setup called 512 pullback curls, right? So that was a 512 pullbacks curls. A lot of traders were trading that in the community as well after the initial push, right? So after the initial push, you trade that 512 pullback as well. You can see Tony talking about that. A lot of other traders were talking about that. The 10 a.m. It didn't really lose. It didn't really break 512. It held 512, right? So a lot of calls were still coming in. The flow was still on. I think a lot of calls were being flagged also by Ghost on NVIDIA as well in the morning. So a lot of flows were coming in on NVIDIA. So NVIDIA was pretty strong, and all our scanners were showing us those call flows, right? And then after that, if you look intraday chart, you miss the context. But if you look at the bigger time frame, you know how big this breakout is, right? We are pushing. So anyways, my first target was 128 target met. The next target, when I told everybody, held 512s held, and QQQ will help it. Then we broke out of this flag. Once NVIDIA broke out of this flag, I gave everybody the target of 130, and eventually we met our 130 target, and there was a lot of sellers at 130. When we broke this, let's see, here it was 130 right here. I added a little more here because I was looking for a bigger push. It didn't really push. It went 50 cents, right? If you want to scalp 50 cents, that's fine. But then it pulled back and it breaks this level, and then I'm out. I'm out here, right? So you start from here, yeah, and then you're out here, right? So you start here at what 120, 125, 126 is, and you make $4 per share, and you're out, right? Of course, you scale out on the way, and you could trade NVIDIA all day, right? So we had flow, we had chart, we had catalyst, right? We had everything. So look here, right? So that was the breakout when it broke out 129s. So we had flow, we have chart, we have catalyst, everything. So that makes it an A plus setup. The 130 calls I gave in the morning was 100%. My target, what I try to show people are the setups, the repeatable setups, the high conviction setups. We are not an alert service, although I guide through the various trades all day so that traders can have that confidence and make these trades. And a lot of people did really good on NVIDIA today. So NVIDIA was one of our main setups that then went crazy today. So it was really nice. And with the catalyst, we'll see how it does tomorrow. But that was a recap. And here's my timestamp recap. No hindsight, everything before and after as usual. NVIDIA, you can see the before chart right here, and then you can see after chart right here. All right. So that was NVIDIA all day guidance. Beautiful win for whole community and also for the Twitter followers. Beautiful trade on NVIDIA. All right, let's talk about Tesla. I especially want to talk about Tesla because we all know there's a robotaxi event coming, right? So we have this robotaxi event which makes everybody bullish about it. Yes, we were bullish as well, but guess what? Right when the market opened, there was nothing bullish about it. I could either be blind for the robotaxi and I add, and by the time it 240, I lost like so much money on my puts are down 70-80%. Sorry, calls are down 70-80%, and I lost money just because I'm thinking, oh, it's robotaxi. But when our system tells us no long, we do not long. I tweeted about it as well. Few folks DM'd me that they saved a lot of money because of that tweet. Because the first thing I told everyone today in the morning on Tesla was here. This was my morning tweet. Did not trigger long. Of course, I'm live on the community, so my tweet was late. But you can see that I said no long because it's breaking MTF Cloud. I told it right at the open, first 3-4 minutes. I told everybody short scalps are okay, means you can short the shares, you can trade short the puts, that is okay. And 245 was the first target, and after that 244.60 was the target. So if you look more on that Tesla, and that was my morning tweet, and you can see how Tesla faded, right? Let's look here. So no longer under MTF, short work, 245 buy target, 245 target coming, then 244.60. So you see we bounced from 245. Now a lot of traders were trying to long it. I did tell them it's a C minus long because there's no guarantee. And look here, that's the 512 rejection. That's the 512 rejection. That's the power of the system. It rejected from the 512s, big rejection, destroyed the dip buyers. I kept telling everyone it's still heavy, still heavy. Next target will be MTF support or 242. And it finally hit that area, right? Even after that, we tried to see if it could curl, but the curl failed, right? You see this is the failed curls, and we were the curls were not working because it's just so heavy. Catalyst means nothing. Your bias needs means nothing. You need your system and technical system to be on the same direction as your bias. And I was talking to a few people on the Twitter as well today. They, like Sam I was talking to, he had a strong bias, and he had a red day, and he felt bad about it. That's fine. We all been there. We all sometimes get overpowered by our bias. That's why I built this trading system, and I'm sure Sam is not going to repeat that mistake again. His lesson learned, and he'll probably short it next time, right? So if we have a bias, let's say we have robotaxi event on Friday or Thursday, and if we go bullish here, we'll use the system to go long, right? We go over the clouds, we go over the MTF clouds, we'll use the system over long. But look what's happening here. 1 hour is bearish, MTF cloud is bearish, 10-minute all day bearish. System did not give a single signal to long it. It tried, but it failed. And now we are barely hanging at this 20 EMA. Now if we bounce, we can use the same risk to long tomorrow. But who knows, maybe tomorrow pop and fade again. We are 1 hour bearish. It's going to take some time to turn even 1 hour bullish. So there are a lot of question marks into robotaxi. We want to long, we know that people are going to buy it, but that doesn't mean that we'll add and get destroyed. And people do get destroyed, and that's why I've been teaching from years. I have saved a lot of people with my teachings. I'm not like other gurus trying to say, oh, I make you a lot of money, right? I try to teach people the way they don't lose money in the market. Repeatable system. That system does. You can see the time step guidance. The short was beauty. Anybody who listened to me bought the shorts, he made money on Tesla all day. And did my community, in my community, mostly nobody trades against the trend. Everybody stays with the trend, right? And that's my focus, right? Because easy to lose thousands of dollars on this trade, and rather than no trading and preserving what you have. Frying Pan was short, Praxis was short, ALK was short, SK trades. You see my whole community, nobody's blindly going crazy there on long side. So that's what I'm proud of. And not only my community, most of my followers know what I teach. We stick with the system. If you stick with the system, you will make consistent money in the stock market, because you will not lose. You might be very good trader, but these against the trend, you will lose a lot of money, and you will wipe out whatever you made last few weeks or last 1 month. So avoid these against the trend trades. Great example on Tesla. Even I had a chart on Tesla. I had a setup on Tesla. Let me see if I can show you. I had a setup on Tesla. Let's see if I tweeted it in the morning. I have to see if I can find it. Let's see if I can go down. See if I had it. I think I had somewhere Tesla setup from the morning. Let's see. Yeah, see, I had a setup, but it never triggered. My setup never triggered. So I'm not going to blindly long it. My NVIDIA setup triggered. So that's the difference between NVIDIA and Tesla. We traded long NVIDIA and we shorted Tesla. So that's so important lesson there. So how to preserve your capital, understand the trend. All right, let's talk about SMCI. SMCI was a big squeezer in the community today. I personally was focused more on the other plays in the morning, so I personally didn't do big, but a lot of my community traders really did good, and I tried to guide as much as I could through the SMCI trade. Right, so we had a lot of news SMCI in the pre-market, then we had news on SMCI at the open as well, and SMCI was strong right out of the gate. Right, the real volume actually started to squeeze over yesterday highs. You can see that. But let's see your levels I gave on SMCI. The levels I gave on SMCI were 4113, 4019 were the support, breakout was 4150 and 4140, right? So once that breakout, you see that's 1 hour MTF breakout, and then it pushes, and yesterday high breakout, right? And then it breaks out of the highs, and then MTF breakout. I did mention it on the voice in the morning while I was busy other trades. I told everyone that it's SMCI is pushing, and this is a 10 AM flag, and then MTF breakout. And there was a lot of flow alerted in the community as well by Ghost Board. You can see that one of our in-house scanners, and you can also buy his scanner if you want. There was a lot of flow coming right at 10 AM, the flag, and those went like 300% as well. That was a crazy move because right here, a lot of range on SMCI. I mean, it's just like, because the float is still kind of relatively smaller. You see how tight it was, tight for so many days, and when that tightness blasts off, you see big range, right? You can draw like a nice little box here. You can see that the big range on that. So flow is there, the system is there. 1 hour is bullish. It's breaking over 20 EMA, so that is bullish. I gave a 50 target to the community on that, and but we didn't really get there, and it rejected, and then it held 512s and bounced there again. But anyways, SMCI was great trade in the community. Many traders killed that one as well. But good to know the reasoning. A lot of news, and then there was a lot of opportunities to long SMCI either on this flag you could buy a lotto, or on the on the breakout of the MTF cloud. Even from the MTF cloud, it went another $4, and you don't need to size fully. You just need to maybe you can look at a smaller time frame, and then you can trade that MTF breakout as well. It was a short squeeze. It was a short squeeze, but definitely good play in the community, and I'm very glad that a lot of us nailed it there. So another special play in the community was MSTR. This was a very high focus for us in the pre-market only. When we were doing the pre-market planning, I told everyone MSTR high watch for daily breakout, right? I told everyone right in the pre-market. And you can see our levels on MSTR 180.50, 181.40. And as soon as I saw the strength on MSTR pushing over there, and I'll show you the setup once again, and that was a long. Once MSTR is pushing over our pivots, that's the long. That's the long, because it's a big breakout. Let me show you right here. Look how the daily breakout was working. It was a big daily breakout right here over this candle. You can see that over 182.70, right? So it was a very beautiful daily breakout. And not only that, there was a lot of flow coming in on MSTR. Right, let's see if I can show you some flow there. So there was a lot of flow coming in, and we have like 3-4 option scanners, but Ghost was doing a pretty good job today showing the SMCI flow in the community as well. So that was a nice little trade. My target I gave was 190. 190 was my first target. Second target I gave everybody in the community was 192. You see that first target 190, right? So I gave that target around 10 AM. We hit that, and then second target was 192, and we hit that too as well later in the day. So next one we gonna watch is next one. So next one we're going to talk about AMD. Even AMD. So AMD, I have been talking about this setup. on Twitter for a while now. Let's see if I can find that. So AMD, you see that. Let me show you from the start, right? I can show you the complete history, right? So this was the breakout on AMD that I initially talked about of the Fibonacci level, that any pullbacks is a long. That was like 2 weeks ago. And then you see that retest, pullback, push higher. Then I was giving the free, I breakout over 0.61 fib. That was my breakout right over 0.61 fib. And then then we broke out over the 0.61 fib, and then I was giving the breakout into the gap, and then we had this breakout into the gap. Now we have a catalyst, right? We have an AI event of AMD itself, but this morning it did not give us a long signal. It did not. It was a short. You can see that it was bearish under that. So it's still bearish. I told everybody short it and cover into 168s, right? So that's what I told everyone in the morning, but in the middle of the day, it gave us 512 calls. A very nice setup. It was repeatable 512 calls, your stops right under there. And that's what I told everyone, use 169.50 as the stops on AMD calls right here. Let me see, we're gonna show, okay, hold on. Yeah, so that was a 512 calls, and I did alert it in the community as well. I want to show you somewhere here. Let's see. Yeah, so you see that back over the clouds right over here, you actually can add this pullback and your stops are here, and then from that cloud calls and this downtrend line breakout, it went all the way to 172. So even if you added at like 170 and you risked what 50-60 cents, you made $2. So that was a midday call. I had to stop out because of this 512 break. Otherwise I was thinking of swinging it and holding it, but I had to stop out, unfortunately. But we'll see how it goes tomorrow. But nice trades on AMD, very well executed, morning shorts, midday calls. So next one we're going to discuss is Pfizer. I'm going to go through these next ones pretty fast. So Pfizer was on our game plan today. Let's look at the game plan. Pfizer was activist investor invests $1 billion in Pfizer, bullish bias to long, the pullbacks versus MTF. So I gave this plan in the pre-market. You can see the levels. And as soon as I saw that it's holding the cloud pullback, you can see that repeatable setup. That's a long right there. And that's what I told everyone. Pfizer long versus 29s. So you're risking what, right? Wherever you're adding is you're risking 20 cents, 30 cents, and our target was $30. We still made like 50 cents there, right? Not like a crazy trade, but it's still still moved decent there. And that was a morning scalp trade on Pfizer. So then the next one was we had was HIMS, HIMS. Let's look the plan. The plan on HIMS was gap fill under 1840, long over it, right? So you see that I had a game plan in the pre-market, so everybody's ready even before I guide them and the communities. We are going through it. Let's see if I can show you the daily chart as well. HIMS, right? So reason I was liking HIMS was because of this daily chart. Daily chart was nice. It was pretty nicely set up here for a breakout. This is what I was really liking about the daily chart right here. Okay, so we had that, and you see that nice pre-market levels, very clean. That's why I gave this stop of 1840s or 1850s. I already gave the pre-market planning, and you can see as soon as I open 1850 pullback longs, that's your risk, or you can add those pullbacks. And from 1850 and breakout over 1880, we went on to hit our 20 target. So 20 was my target. So there was, it was a decent, you could make $1 per share trade on HIMS. So HIMS was another successful morning trade, stress-free, small, right? Let's say you're adding here, you're adding 1,000 shares and you're risking $400. You're easily making $900 by end of the day on HIMS on this first push, right? And it stops you out, you get out, and maybe you trade this 3450 later, but I was not in part of it. This was the morning trade right here. You can see my timestamp guidance right at open, from 1880, 1890s, and all the way to $20. All right, let's look at another one, which is a loser today. That was MBLY short. So something to learn on these plays is that MBLY had a double downgrade. It still didn't fade. It had downgrade from Goldman Sachs, downgrade from Morgan Stanley, because it couldn't break the support. Our system told us it's not breaking the support. That's something you have to watch. So if you see that, never made a lower lows under the pre-market level, right? Lows, lower highs, although it was kind of working for a bit. And you see that it pushed to, let me see if I can show you here. So it did push to, push to $12, but it right away swiped back up. And when I saw that, it was not a short, right? It was just a starter position because it never confirmed. When it curled right over 512 here, I said get out, right? You see that, right? From 12, it didn't work, just get out. Take a small loss, move on, because you can see that never breaking the pre-market lows. So that's why it was not a short. It was a waste of time chop all day. That's how we keep losers tiny, because if it was a short, it would have faded to $11 and give a nice risk reward. So next one we're going to look at is SSRK. This was one of the best news plays in the community today. So let's see what was the plan on SRRK. So SRRK was a news. There was a new spinal muscular atrophy drug meets primary study points. Pretty bullish news. One of the rare diseases, muscular atrophy, right? Yeah, I mean, if you have some biotech knowledge, it would help that how big the problem is. And but anyways, pretty strong, nice gap up, you could see that. And the plan was pretty simple: bullish bias versus 20, under 20, careful. That was a simple plan. The pre-market planning was given, and SSRK right at open showed me the strength, and it was a long. I told everybody it's a long, but it's not for everyone. New traders need to be careful. It has a big range. If you're buying here at 25s, you need to have a bigger, $3 worth of stops. And anyway, since that idea of SSRK long, SSRK 30 was my first target. We hit the first target. 32 was my second target. We hit our second target. And then it was still pushing. It was kept pushing, and eventually, 35 was my final target, and we did almost meet that, before the close. So huge winner. Big watch for day two as well. These things can continue to run for a few days, so we will be watching it for day two longs as well. Beautiful all day trade. You're risking $2-3 and you're making $6-7. That's the risk reward. Here's the timestamp guidance, and I already to show you the pre-market planning. No hindsight. Beautiful winner. Let's go to the next one. I'm just gonna go through quickly some of the game plan plays. I didn't really play, but I just want to watch about these upgrades and downgrades. For example, Netflix had a downgrade, right? So Netflix had a downgrade, and what were our levels? Let's look at the levels on Netflix. So levels on Netflix were, right here, 714, 713. And once that breaks, it's a short. It's breaks the MTF clouds, and it's a flush. And next target is the lower daily MTF clouds. So you can see that it breaks the level. It has a downgrade from the Barclays. Good short setup, good one in the community. So now let's look at Amazon, right? So Amazon, what was Amazon? Downgraded by Wells Fargo from 225 to 182. What does it do? Let's look at our levels. Amazon support 183, 182.30. And what does it do? Right? It's already under the 1 hour MTF. And then it also breaks the daily MTF, right? So it's breaking all the EMAs. It was right when it breaks this. There's a short here as well, and it's flush. Downgrade, right? It's the Wells Fargo is not like the top tier, but maybe the tier 2. And under the MTF short, I did mention it. Easiest setup. You can see the flush under the MTF, but it did impact it, right? You can see how MBLY didn't do anything after the double downgrade, but Amazon kind of faded because Wells Fargo was there, right? Nice guidance by today in the community. Raga was on top of it on Amazon. Beautiful done by Raga there in the community. So next one is IBM. So you can have these analyst upgrades and downgrades. First ever, you need to know what are the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Whenever JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Citibank, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, they say something, stock moves. But then you can't trade them blindly. You want to see volume. You want to see what your technicals are telling you. So for example, IBM was today raised by Goldman Sachs. It's a huge deal. Tier 1, big upgrade. And daily was the bullish. When I saw the daily or the bullish, that's when I gave it as a bullish long setup versus 3450 right here, and see what happened there. push, pull to 334.50, and then pushed 2 points, right? So that was a 34.50 bounce, exactly how I said in the pre-market. So let's look at next one. I mean, there was bunch of upgrades, downgrade today. All of them doesn't necessarily have to work. General Motors profit target raised by Goldman Sachs, long over 34.50. It pushes over 34.50, and you see that, right? Pushed over 34.46.15. You could easily scalp that. Let's look at another one. That's STZ. That's also one of our day 2, day 3 setups. Neutral. So Bank of America is neutral on it. So what was the plan? Bearish bias to short the pop. Bearish bias to short the pop. And what did it do? It faded right out of the gate. Right, so then because it's bearish, the chart daily is bearish, 1 hour is bearish, so you can make up the plan accordingly. So next one we're going to recap is ANF. So ANF was our day 2 short. You can see that what I said, daily MTF test 144, 146, and you could see that once it broke that MTF, daily, it was bearish. It broke the daily MTF and it was bearish, broke the 1 hour MTF. It faded all day. It was a nice guidance on the trading floor as well on ANF today. I think it was M Trade or somebody else, but beautiful guidance. That's the beauty of our community. Raga guided through some shorts and other traders as well. All right, I wanted to talk about SPY QQQ, but it's the same thing I discuss all the time. We had the midday shorts on SPY QQQ. I don't just have a time. I have to close this video, and then we can discuss it next time. But it's just very easy. Midday it was chop 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 chop, 1 hour MTF breaks, VIX goes up. I was tweeting about it all day, guiding everybody through. Take the SPY puts, take the QQQ puts, just trade it short, right? I mean, it's very simple strategy, guys. I have covered it 1,000 times. VIX is very strong, market is iffy, so it was supposed to be bearish. This short was a home run right here. MTF low of the day, MTF low of the day. All right, take care, bye bye.